Okay, so I'm here today to talk about TanStack Router, but before I begin, not only Danielle is doing an amazing job, but all the organization. So if we can, let's give it up for them as well. Okay, so who am I? My name is Joana Santos, not Sofia. I'm a full-stack product engineer at Sinvertex. I've been working for 3 years now with marketplaces, AI, internal developer portals, and stuff like that. I'm from Viseu, Portugal. Anyone else here from Viseu? Okay, nice, nice. How was the IP3 good? Like always, right? Okay, my handle is JoanaMCSA in every social media that you can find me, so go ahead and connect with me and give me feedback about this talk, please. Okay, for today's road trip, we're going to go through routing in modern React apps, then we're going to see why we should consider TanStack Router, then how to get started with it, following how to handle nested routes and parameters, how can we mask our location, and finally, how we can smart fetch data. Okay, so routing in modern React apps. Let's talk about we all use, but secretly dread, routing. We've all been there. We set up React Router DOM, and suddenly it feels like we're playing Jenga with our application because we don't know where there's redirect going. And we saw in Attila's talk that, who was here in Attila's talk? Okay, like 25% of the people. But yeah, it was a great talk. You should see it on the recording. Implementing a router takes a lot of work. So let's see how TanStack Router did. And you might know the TanStack folks from TanStack Query or React Query, so you know they're good when it comes to data and developer experience. Okay, so why should we consider TanStack Router? First of all, because it's type safe, and if you were in the first talk of the morning, you know that type safety is a great thing. Were you here? Okay, nice. So you like types now, right? Then it's modular and nested by design, and it has built-in data loading. Okay, so let's get started. How can we get started with it? First of all, we install the dependency. Then we create the router, the base router, and we tell TypeScript with the declare module lines of code which router to look at. Is this big enough for the ones in the back? Okay, nice. And then we instantiate the router provider with the router that we defined. Okay, now let's take a look at how we can create routes and nested routes and parameters. Well, we start. In this presentation, I'm going to use file-based routing, but you can also use code-based routing, although it's not the recommended way. But if you're migrating from another, it might become handy. Okay, so if you create, in this case, I created a folder cities/index.tsx under the folder routes, and I created a route. This is all generated by TanStack Router when you have the server running. So it creates our file route and the root component. Okay, this seems cool, but why is it so cool? Because if you mistakenly write cities and you only see it in the code and you're trying to fix it in the code, it will give an error because TypeScript doesn't know what it is because it's badly written in the folder. Okay, this is all cool, but what if I want to have a dynamic URL? Well, in this case, we have $cdid.tsx instead of index.tsx file, and then, again, the first part is generated by TanStack Router, but we can use then a hook, use params, to extract the CDID out of the hook, which I think is pretty cool because, again, If you mistakenly write city ID, it doesn't know what it is, and TypeScript gives an error. Isn't this cool? How many errors did you have just for a little thing like that? OK, but I want to add, let's say the cities. Let's go back a little bit. Yeah. And let's say that this file is a list of cities. If we want to paginate it, how can we do that easily? Do you have any idea? If you were in Attild's talk, you would know. OK, we have the property validate search. And here I'm using a ZOD schema to validate it. And I'm adding the page key, which is a number, and it's going to catch to the 1 number. So if you don't add the page, it will catch to 1. And if you add it like a string, it will also catch to the number 1. And in the component, you use a hook again and distract the page from it. And guess what? It's also typed. OK, let's see this working in a real application. Is this OK? Let me put this bigger. Good enough? Everyone sees it? OK. So we have here a simple presentation, a simple dashboard. We have an about page that's simply hello from about. We have a cities page that doesn't exist yet. We're going to create it, and we can go home. OK. So let's create our files. Is this also big enough? Oh, we have already an error saying that the cities doesn't exist. Type cities is not assignable to type. It doesn't exist in our application. So let's create it, shall we? Well, we create a cities.index.tsx. And hopefully, yeah, I have the server running, so it automatically created. And now you see that I have an error here. I'm not sure why, but today it doesn't seem to be regenerating the root tree by itself, so I'm going to help him a little bit and restart the server, because usually it fixes the problem, and it's fixed. OK, let's also create the $cityd, cityd.tsx. Oops. See, I mistakenly wrote this. Again, I'm going to restart the server. Usually this is not necessary, but as you know, we are in a demo, so everything's necessary. OK, yeah, we can take off the cityd from useparams. Thanks, Copilot. And we can use it here. Yep. And we're going to see when we're there which cityd are we passing. OK, then in the cities, in the cities list, we can add the validate search that for now is not going to do anything. Well, OK, better, right? And we can have here the cities search schema, which is a ZOD object. And it doesn't know what ZOD is because I didn't import it. OK. Page, Z number, catch, and it's strict. So if we add something else to this, OK, sure, Biomi is formatting my code. But if we add more keys to this object, it will give us an error. But we're going to see it in a minute. OK, let me use this, and let's see what the page is. Yep, thank you, Copilot, again. From page. OK, let's see. Do we have, yep, we now have a root cities, and the page 1 is there. And we can see here that it's correct. And now if we try to say hello equals 1, oops, hello equals 1, we have an error saying unrecognized key. So let's make this a little bit prettier and add our error component, which can be pretty simple as a div saying something went wrong. Something went wrong. OK. And it's missing a, yep, OK. Let's set it red, because errors are red. Text red, 500. Let's destruct the error so we can see what's wrong, what's happening in our application, error.message. OK, and we can see a prettier error. Is it good? Can you see? OK, something went wrong. There's an unrecognized key. OK, so let's go back. Let's take this off so we don't have an error. And let's go back to our presentation. OK, let's say we want to add authentication or root guards, or you want to add role-based access control to your application. It's a pretty common scenario. You don't want all the users to see everything. So how can we do that in a TanStack router? Well, we are still in our cities component file, and we can add a before load property that here I'm making a request with TRPC to get the first city, and if the city doesn't exist, it will throw a redirect to the home page. This seems pretty simple, right? OK, let's see it working. In the presentation, everything works. OK, we have a before load. It's an async because I'm going to make a request. I don't want to simulate. I want to do a real one. Let's await TRPC. Yeah, get first query. If the city exists, because I know it does, and we want to see us being redirected, OK, sure, Copilot. But actually, wait, let me import this from TanStack Router. But actually, this doesn't exist, because the route that exists is cities/$ city ID. And we can pass it with a parameter, city ID, city.id. Let me put the name so it's prettier for us. And now it's blaming me because I'm using literal strings. OK. OK, let's see if in this page we are going to be redirected. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1. We did, and we are now in Coimbra. Isn't this amazing? OK. So again, back to our presentation. Yep. Let's talk about the side life of Hannah Montana. We all sometimes say things that are not quite right to our users, right? So location masking is handy when you are in one place, but you want to say you are in another. So for this case, I created a file named mask, and I'm going to be redirected to it. But what the user is going to see is actually the city's page. The city's URL. The page will be the mask one. Well, let's see this working. OK, so in the root, I have this link that now it doesn't give me an error. Amazing. And I have the mask file that it's hello mask. So if we see this, we are in this file, not the cities. And here, masked cities, if I click, I see hello mask. But in the URL, I see the cities page equals 1, which I think is also pretty amazing. This is useful for when you want to open a modal, for example, and have a route specifically for it, but you don't want to show that to your user. OK, now let's talk about how we can fetch data like a boss. OK. Every router can have its loader. And here I went back a little bit, and I'm using the validate search from before. And I'm passing the loader dependencies. So the loader actually knows what those things are. And then we destruct the page from the dependencies. And again, we're making the request to get the first city. And then we return to the component our page and our city. And in the component, guess what? We have a hook that we can return the data, that we can extract the data that we returned before. So here we are extracting the city. We could be extracting the page as well, and then we'll do anything we want with it. And guess what? This is also typed, so it knows that the city is what your backend is returning. If you use, I'm using TRPC, but if you were using TanStack Router, TanStack Query, or Axios, or Fetch, it would be even, it would be as your will. Yeah, OK. If this wasn't cool enough, you can also defer data. So let's say you have a request that takes a long time to, or more time to resolve. What you're going to do? You're going to, instead of waiting for it in the loader, you're going to pass the promise to the component. And here, the request that takes a little bit more time is the get all, because it's getting all the cities instead of only one. And then we return the city and the promised cities. And in the root component, we extract it from our use loader data, and we use it in the await the TanStack Router. It's a component from TanStack Router. We pass the promise. We can press the fallback. And when it resolves, it will show us a list of cities. Oh, amazing things happening here. OK, but all of this can be loading before we even get to the page. So with the preload intent, when you hover or touch the link, it will start loading the things that are in the loader. And now I'm going to show you everything. OK, let's go back to our cities index, this one. Yep. Let's add the loader. Yeah, we can pass some dependencies. All right, loader, yup. Now we have the city, which is again, yup. And now we have the promised cities, yup. And I'm not going to wait for it. That's the difference. Easy, Copilot. And I'm going to return the city and the promised cities. And I can also extract the dependencies here. So we pass the page as well. And I'm not writing, so OK, I have one parenthesis. OK, const. This is not necessary because you can take it in the hook, but it's funnier this way. We see more things working. OK, so instead of use search, it's going to be use loader data. And it's the page, the city, and the promised cities. Here we're going to say hello cities from page in the city with our city name, which can be null, so we're going to use, OK, now we can see, yep, perfectly. And the await that I was talking to you about, I can, OK, it's here, it imported from TanStack Router. And I'm going to pass the promise cities. I don't want to fall back just now. Yep, and now I'm going to, OK, yeah, you do it. You do it better than me. OK, so let's see this working. Or maybe not, because I didn't save the file. Oh, you know why? Because we still have if the city exists, and it does exist if it doesn't exist. OK, yeah, now complain that is the... To the home page, please. Thank you. OK. Not City Coimbra. I want to be where the people are. OK, here. So this one is the one that is not being deferred, and this is the data that's being deferred. And if I refresh, we don't see much difference. But when I add a fallback here in the await, yep, and I want it blue. Text blue 500. We can see that the other stuff is there, but it takes a little bit more time to load the rest of it. Well, now let's see this. Can you see the network? Making requests before we get there. OK, so let's say, ooh, OK. Well, let's go to about. Maybe not, because this is all OK, about. Let's go to cities. Oops. When I hover in the cities, it will get the first city. And when I get there, it's already there. We didn't see it flashing, which I think is pretty cool. And a little bit, go back to our presentation. OK. As a recap, now we know how to nest our routes and the state and use the parameter as state, because if we have those hooks, use search, use params, use loader data, we don't need the use states that we are used to, so it's less error prone, which is amazing. We know how to guard certain routes, we fetch data smarter, and we know how to mask our location if we want. And I just want to say that routing doesn't have to be the chaotic part of your app. It's OK if it's simple like this. And the best part is that TanStack Router, it's not only for React now, it's also for Solid. But I saw when Daniel was talking that no one is using Solid. So, well, it's useful for React. Thank you so much, and let's go build something epic.